So this is a logging page of a Faspex 5. So Faspex 5 is a self-managed application that can be deployed either on-premise or in the cloud. And here you start with the logging page. The logging page is highly customizable. So you can see that the logo or even that picture here on the right side can be highly customized. And so for branding purposes, this is a very nice way to make that Faspex deployment your own. We have, of course, the ability to log in using a standard username and password form, internal Faspex 5 users, or it's possible to leverage a SAML identity provider. Like here on this configuration, we have Okta and Jump Cloud IDPs configured. It's even possible to have an automatic redirection to the identity provider when you first try to hit the login page. There's an ability to reset one's password. You just click on forgot your credentials. And of course, there's the ability, if that server is configured, to allow that option to request an account. I'm going to log in. So this is our brand new UI based on React, Carbon 10, same as UI components used with our Aspera on cloud offering. And the organization of the UI is pretty standard, following what you would typically see with an email client. So here on the left side, you have your received options. So you can see all the packages that you have received, just the packages that were sent to you. So the difference between the two is that if you're a member of a shared inbox, and keep in mind that the shared inbox is what used to be called Dropbox, but now it's called shared inbox in Aspera on Cloud and Faspex 5. So here in all packages, you will see all the packages received directly or sent to a shared inbox that you are a member. Here, you can also click on each of the shared inbox that you're a member of. So that list can grow based on how many shared inboxes you're a member of. You have access to the sent box where you can see all the packages that you have sent. And here, if you have some pending packages, so those could be like packages that have been sent but with a release date that is not immediate. So that's, for example, if you're trying to say, okay, I want to send that package, but I only want that package to be released, in a week from now, you will see that package as pending. And if you're a shared inbox manager, so here I'm an admin, so of course I have access to all the shared inboxes. You can also click here to manage your shared inboxes. And I'll go a little bit more into this, a bit later. One thing here you can see, so there are like a couple of icons on the top right. So you have your menu where you can access your account setting and change the theme, for example. So if you want to go in dark mode, that's where you are going to go. For example, so the dark mode or light mode can be manually selected, or it can follow the system default. So if I go with system default, because my computer is using the dark mode, the browser is passing that to the UI, and then it will go in with dark mode in my case. But I'll manually override this and select the light mode here. You can also access your preferences. So if you want to be notified, those are like options that used to be in Faspex 4, and they're still available in Faspex 5. There's the app switcher here. So Anya and Deepak were mentioning that we're building that new web suite with all the features consolidated on one platform. So right now we have packages and admin, but soon we'll have files and maybe activity. We have not settled on the actual names yet, but this is where you're going to be able to go from one application to another. And this icon here is the transfer activity panel. So this is where you are going to see all the ongoing transfers or past transfers. And this is also where you can leverage the HTTP gateway if you want to force using the HTTP gateway, if it's configured with your Faspex environment. So it's still possible, even though we have that transfer activity panel, it's still possible to bring the connect window here on the UI. But it's as opposed as of what was going on in Faspex 4. Now, we won't bring the connect transfer panel by default, because the transfers, again, are going to be showing in that panel here. All right, so now let's go into sending a package. All right, so pretty straightforward. I'm going to choose, I'm going to send a package to myself. So we've very streamlined that, send form by putting like additional options into those accordions here. So it's very simple, to just select a user and put a title, right? You add your files. Okay, so, all right, and then you can send. So you can add a message, and then you can send. But of course, for advanced users, I was talking about how you can release, the package later. So that's how you will set that up. So it's possible to do that. You can also enable the encryption at rest and password protect your package even at rest on storage using a passphrase that you'll have to pass out of band to a user. You can set an expiration policy, a custom one for that specific package, and choose, if that package never expires or if it's going to be deleted after one or or all of the recipients downloaded that package. Then you've got more transfer options to mask the file names. Sometimes the file names are, sensitive data as well. So you can obfuscate those file names by using that option. And you can also force the user to download the package using Connect. So again, that's in the context of having the HP Gateway. You can do that and prevent, users to download it using HP Gateway if you want them to have a mandate to download using Connect. All right. Then you send, and here you have that pop-up. You can see that the transfer activity panel here is highlighted. So, and now you can see that transfer happened. So it was a very small package, but you can see here how the cards are going to build up, and you can track your ongoing transfers using the transfer activity panel. One thing that is important to note is when using the HTTP gateway, so in the old Faspex, when you were uploading one package using HTTP Gateway, you had to stay on that page and not navigate away because that would have broken the ongoing transfer. So with this transfer activity panel, you can still navigate and have multiple HTTP Gateway uploads and still be able to navigate because this is a one-pager application, reactive, and all the transfers are going to happen in the background. It's a pretty nice improvement here. So now I was talking about shared inbox. So for example, here I'm a member of that beta SI shared inbox. So when I send a package, I can, just by clicking, I can, see all the shared inbox I can send to, or if I, of course I can type it and then it will, it will offer me to send this as a shared inbox. This is a shared inbox that has metadata required for sending a package. So you can see here, there's a new tab called metadata. And so as I go, into sending a package here. So let's see. Right. So I still have my options to send a package, but then here, instead of clicking on send, I will go to next, and then it asks me for metadata. So here, for example, I can say, okay, this is an investigation. All this, of course, is customizable, and I can say, okay. All right, I can put an identifier. So that package now is going to be sent. Of course, I can see here, I can show you an example of how it goes, when the package is uploading here. And now the metadata, of course, is going to be associated with that package, sent to that shared inbox. So here, for example, I can see that the identifier is showing here. So the metadata associated with that package is accessible to the sender, to the recipient as well. This is also a shared inbox where I had enabled relays. And so for example, here I can see that a trigger relay is happening because that shared inbox has a configuration where I say, oh, every time I receive a package for that shared inbox, I want to send that package to a custom inbox storage. So for example, here, this is where I can set up that custom inbox storage. And here I said, okay, this shared inbox is not on the default storage, but is on the package folder in Paris, in that node that is in Paris. All right, so automatic relays, custom storage, those were options we had in Faspex 4, also available in Faspex 5. All right, so we're talking about the ability to use on mobile. So we do have a very nice mobile application, but here, if I simulate an iPhone, you can see that the application is fully reactive. And here I can see that it's adapting to the orientation and also the size I have. So that means that, of course, I can leverage Faspex 5 using the Aspera mobile app that will let me do end-to-end fast transfers, and this is the best experience. But if you want to have users that can access the web UI of Faspex 5 without downloading an application, you will see that it's absolutely possible to do that just with a mobile browser. And if you have the HTTP gateway configured, then they can even upload and download. So it can be fully functional even without having a mobile application. For an admin, one can imagine that it's very nice to be able, for example, on a weekend, oh, I'm at the beach, but somebody's calling me and say, hey, I need to re-enable that user, so I can do that, at the palm of my hand and be, very effective directly with my mobile phone. All right, so moved into that admin application here. So a lot of nice new things in that admin application. So first, it's going to be a common admin application for all the applications added on that web platform. So that means that the users, the storage, the nodes, the work groups, and so on, the identity providers, all of that is going to be common between packages, files, and activity down the road. So this is really setting you up for the next iteration and adding those applications as they come and as they're released going forward. So here you have a nice dashboard where you can have a very quick view on your default storage, how many shared inbox you have, how many users, the total packages, etc. So you can click and access all the packages that have been sent on that platform. You can see if there are like any ongoing relays or things that are blocked. Things are pretty straightforward. It's that all the configuration options that you had, they're now available here. And things that are kind of noticeable is how you can manage all the users. So yeah, you can activate, deactivate users as you go. If you have like pending registrations for accounts that have been creating on the login page or admin asked for on the login page, you can see the pending registrations here and you can act on them if needed. So again, you're used to adding nodes. You can see what HSTS node is added and as the default inbox. So, there's a co-located HSTS on the same server running that Faspex 5 environment, but it's also, there's a tethering of a node located in Paris, France. Noticeable is the job health. So all the background jobs run by Faspex, you can have a quick view, checking that everything is green here. If you want to check your node poller, and what is going on, you can check that you have a successful poll a few minutes ago. You can manage your nodes and see what's going on here. So it's really about like having a quick glimpse at the general health. And if you want to dig a little bit more, you can go into all the different jobs and look if they're queued and have some information. This is going like a little bit into the weed here, but it's providing the admin with like useful information about troubleshooting the environment if needed directly from the UI. All right, so now going into a feature that we are currently developing that is not GA yet, that will be released in the upcoming 5.0.4 release of Faspex 5. Currently, we have 5.03 that is GA, and it's the post-processing. So here I set up a post-processing, and if we look into it, I can say, okay, so I linked an orchestrator workflow as an automatic post-processing that I want to trigger and based on some criteria. And here I said, okay, whenever a package name includes the word boat in it, I want that orchestrator workflow to be automatically triggered. So just clear that up. So, right. So if I go back to the packages application, now I'm just sending, even to a shared inbox, or it can be to a user, doesn't matter. So say my new boat or demo. Okay. I add a file, doesn't matter. All right. And so all right. So here I have my package that is going to be sent, and now it's showing, oh, it's uploaded for processing. So I have, I set up a workflow in Orchestrator. So this is the Orchestrator system that is working with it. And I did put together a very simple workflow here that is going to read the information coming from the post-processing workflow webhook connector in Faspex 5. That is going to send a new customized email automatically. Of course, you can add, there are so many plugins in Orchestrator, you can build a way more complex workflow here, but just for the sake of that demo, that's what we're doing here. And so, yeah, going back here. So now my package has been sent. I can say that it's completed. And if I go as an admin in the post-processing, I can see that my new boat is green, package. Actually, there is, I'm sorry, that was here, my new boat for demo. So here that post-processing got completed. Okay, so I can check here. I can see the payload that was sent, in the post query to the post processor. So it includes the package directory, the name, the sender, etc. And I can also check the response, that here I got a 200 code and the application, the type of payload that I received from the post processor. Here it's Orchestrator. And if I go in Orchestrator, I can see that I had that Faspex post-processing in place. And here I can see the same payload that I received with the package directory, etc., passed in Orchestrator. And I can see the work order and everything that was processed gracefully by Orchestrator in a fully automatic way. And now I can see that I've received that email. Again, not the email sent by Faspex, because I also received that one, but here just that fully custom email that I received saying, okay, that's an email from Orchestrator workflow plugin, which was triggered by Faspex 5 post-processing, and package name, my new boat for demo, is actually passed and automatically generated in the body of that message sent by our Orchestrator as part of post-processing. All right, so this is pretty much it for the demo here. I just talked about post-processing available in 504. So one thing to notice is this post-processing that is a feature parity with Faspex 4 is a non-blocking post-processing. That means that it's kind of every time a package is received and of course the criteria are met, that post-processing will be triggered. And for Faspex, it's kind of a shoot and forget type of approach. It doesn't block the package from being received by the recipient. It's kind of a parallel processing that can happen. And you can have one or multiple post-processing created, and they will be triggered virtually at the same time, because again, it's that shoot and forget. So now there is a new post-processing also that we're working on, and this one is blocking post-processing. So this will be for a future version of Faspex, not 504. Again, the one I just presented is going to be available in 504. But that new one I'm going to talk about now is coming a bit later and will be a blocking post-processing for file validation. If some of you are familiar with the out-of-transfer file validation in Faspex 4, this is what it's about and what it's going to replace. So the blocking post-processing for file validation is a little bit of a different concept. So here you can see that on that chart, that you have, you can, on the left side, you have your web browser with connect, or you can go through the HTTP gateway to send your package. And that package, of course, the web browser has access to the Faspex 5 UI at the top, but the package itself is sent directly to the HSTS node, again, directly via connect or via the HTTP gateway. And then what's going to happen is that all the files composing that package are going to be added into a queue of files for validation stored in Faspex 5. And then there's going to be that Faspex 5 API that is going to be leveraged by a validator. So we have, of course, as validator coming from Aspera, you have OTAV validator, which is a standalone package, highly threaded, highly small footprint and highly efficient validator. We can also use Orchestrator to validate, or anything, leveraging that API. And that API basically is going to validate all of the files in that queue and will change the status of each file from to be validated to validating, and then error if there's a validation failure, or complete if the validation passed and nicely. And what is very important to note is that that package will be blocked. It will not be made available to the recipients or to the shared inbox whatsoever until all the files have passed validation. And if there's one file or more that didn't pass validation, then that package will not be made available to the recipient. And this is typically what our customers can use to validate files and content for viruses, for example. So running antivirus solutions or data loss prevention for outbound packages to make sure that there's no sensitive data included in that package. And of course, you want this to be blocking because you don't want somebody to be able to access the files while the antivirus solution is running, hence the need for blocking post-processing for file validation. And this is it.